people haven't put the stuff in check, and now it's gone completely crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're the last vestige of big massage heads that was left in the world.
Hey guys, we are actually live right now.
Wow. Nice.
So apparently, when the new GunTube, it just pushes it through. Once you choose go live, it just goes live. So we're gonna go live 2 minutes early. So good morning, everybody. We're having a very lively discussion, and if you want to know what the topic is, you're gonna have to watch the early watch on Monday. It's gonna be a firestorm all across YouTube. It's gonna be the new thing that's gonna push every bit of effort and energy we have in this country. But anyway, guys, welcome.
BTAFE.
I'm telling you, it's coming. It's going to be here soon. So if you guys want to know what's going on, check out Early Watch on Monday morning. Tony, what time? Is it 9 a.m. Central?
Ish.
Is that right? Ish. Okay, 9. It's not for kids. It's not something to play at work, but it's going to be a very passionate discussion. I want you guys all to be there. But anyway, I guess we're live now, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to Caliber Corner podcast number 195, where today we're going to talk about maintenance and care and wear and tear of your firearms. We'll talk about various different types of firearms, how we like to clean them, maintain them, some worry points you have to watch for. You know, we can talk a little bit about milsurps and ARs and AKs and C308s, Foos. And anyway, let's go ahead and see who's watching on the YouTube side. Since we're here early, let's give a little shout out to everybody that's here. We got a little rolling trip going on. We got Crappy Patty out there. We got Mike. We got Watt. And Gabriel says, sup, y'all got your coffee? Yes, I do. Sam of Anarchy 92 is out there. And then there's me. So let's go ahead and let the esteemed panel introduce themselves. We're going to go ahead and start off with the OG, well, one of the OGs of the Gun Podcast and my spiritual advisor, Tony. Tony, how's it going this morning?
I feel extremely elevated at the moment, although I'm still pissed off about Monday's topic.
Dude, it's going to be fierce. And to think we're wasting tax dollars to talk about that. I mean, and discuss it and have to litigate over it. I mean, we're not going to say what it is. We're not going to say what you guys got to watch early watch on Monday morning. It's going to be fantastic. So, so Tony, I think it's going to add a little fuel to the fire. So,
what time is that, Travis?
Early watch is around 9 a.m. Central Time, 9-ish. Just be watching. Just subscribe to it on YouTube. And it's
I've got to.
That and the Daily Gun Show with G-Webs are the two podcasts that I blame for the reason why I'm here right now. Because those guys reeled me in on those shows, and I thought, it'd be kind of fun to have a podcast like that. So I blame you guys for my current state. So
we didn't have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's always your friends that enable you, Tony. Yep, peer pressure. But no, I know how it is.
We tried to put out a perfect version of how not to do a show.
Instead, I listen to the whole thing every time. All right.
Well, I mean, you kind of do every time you guys go on. So.
Also joining us from Missouri, Foos. Foos, what's going on, man? How's it going, man? You good today or what?
I'm good. I'm
all right.
I'm gonna cut out at 9:30. I got to go and pack the truck and pick up a couple buddies for a local match at noon. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Should be a good day to go do some shooting and stuff. And feels good to get out to the range and just relax for a little while.
Yep. And then on the way home, I need to chrono some ammo. Then I'm going to make some ammo tomorrow for the next couple majors in the next couple weeks. And yeah, make a trip to Kansas, then a trip to Nebraska. And heck yeah.
I might have you bring me some of that barbecue from that restaurant we went to, man. That stuff was top shelf, dude. That stuff was amazing. Oh my God. Dude, what was it? Those sweet corn nuggets? Oh man, you can deep fry anything. And sweet corn nuggets are just like a Nebraska kid's dream.
You've never had that? You've never had sweet corn nuggets?
Man, it's been, I don't even know how long. I don't even know when I had them last. I don't know. It's been decades since I've had them. So it was like visiting an old friend again.
No, it's only been about, a month and a half?
Well, no, I haven't, before that point, I hadn't had them for forever. So yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
I've never heard of the damn thing.
Sweet corn nuggets. So you take sweet corn and you batter it up and fry it. They're these like sweet, crunchy, delicious. And I mean, you could dip some honey mustard with them and stuff. They're so good. Good. They're up there. All right. Also joining us, he's on the West Coast, but he's from the East Coast. Single Shot. What's going on, brother? What do you know?
Oh, just got up getting myself squared away. It's cloudy here in Washington State. I had a little bit of luck with a customer here. Pretty close to running out of hours.
Oh,
So I asked them if they would allow me to park on the property here. Sure. So I stayed right here in Tumwater, Washington.
Wait, what water?
Tumwater.
Okay.
Water, Washington, right? And water's going to be a very, very hot commodity after everybody listens to Monday's podcast of the early watch.
Yeah.
It's going to
Certainly
be.
does seem to be the topic
It
of
will
the day.
fuel your purchases for the next 12 months. It's gonna push an entire market that I'm telling you guys. I don't know. We'll have to wait. So check out Early Watch on Monday. I'm serious. You're gonna be like, are you kidding me? Yes. No, we're not kidding you.
And make sure you have your get ready for a $200 tax stamp. So.
Exactly. Get your credit card on standby because Amazon's gonna sell out of what Tony and Jimmy are gonna talk about on Monday.
Don't have anything in your hand that you can destroy the phone with either.
No shit.
Oh man, it's gonna. I mean, like it's gonna. Couples are gonna argue over it. It's gonna affect remodeling. It's gonna change everything. So, YouTube is probably gonna start, regulating content on it. So, all those videos
That
about
I hope
how
I
to.
remember.
All those videos on how to increase your flow rate are going to be taken down. Yep. There's going to be a cottage industry booming. So anyway, let's go. We're having too much fun with this. AWAG is with us. AWAG, what's going on, man? How's it going?
Howdy. Doing pretty good. Just been super, super busy with work. That's probably why I haven't been here lately.
I'm not going to be mad about the fact that you're employed and working. I mean, if anything, a young person that's employed and working should be applauded. So don't worry about it, man. It's all good. I'm glad you're here because when we talk about, maintenance, wear and tear of the AK-47, I think that's something that you really got to watch for, especially in the era of cast trunnions and a lot of off manufacturers that are out there making guns these days. As the round count starts to wear up, your AK-47, you really got to pay attention to that, to some of those wearable items. So
yeah, and I actually have, oddly enough, I just dissected one of my AR pistols because it has way over like 2,000 rounds in it. So hopefully I can get some high quality pictures of certain things that happen when your AR reaches well over 1,000 rounds. Because
it doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you're running like a pistol gas system or a carbine gas system, it gets pretty violent on the bull carrier group. Everything's accelerated.
Yep.
I mean, I've even noticed that on my own, just carbine link systems versus my mid links. The accelerated wear, it can surprise. I mean, a lot of people, it might not affect them at all, but there might be a lot of people that buy one AR and that's what they shoot for years. And because I got a lot of people that say, well, I do 1,000 rounds a month or 2,000 rounds a month or whatever. Okay. So, as that wear and tear starts to rack up, what do you need to start watching for, So cool, man. And anyway, we have a comment out there. Sam of Anarchy 92 says, nice AR build behind you, Travis. Not adding a scope and light and flashlight and any plans to add a Magpul CTR stock to it or your other builds. No, this is just my little shorty 762 by 39, 8.5-inch barrel, AR-47 pistol, I guess you could call it. I thought about maybe picking up another 300 blackout upper, but I'm not going to do that just yet. But yeah, this little guy right here, I just flip up sides, keep it simple, throw a sling on it, throw it in the truck. It travels well and just pack a little bit of a punch. You lose a lot of energy in an 8.5-inch barrel, but it's just fun to shoot. So
too bad that stand doesn't have the curve of the AK mag, so you actually know what caliber it is.
Oh man, no doubt. This is true. So this is from rnldisplays.com. Make sure you guys check them out over on Facebook and also on YouTube. There's a few gun channels that are starting to do reviews now of their stands. They are veteran owned. They are made in the USA. If you guys have ever heard of a guy called New York Outcast, it's his company. And they come in like a natural color. They come in black. You can also use the mag with the second mount to mount it up on your wall if you want to. So I'll be swapping this out for a different rifle every week or different pistol every week. And final reminder, today's episode is sponsored by SS Pond in Lexington, Nebraska. And SS Pond has been a longtime sponsor of the channel. So make sure you guys give SS Pond a call. They will take care of your firearms needs. Contact information will be in the bottom of this video once we get done. All right, so let's go into today's topic, wear and tear and care for your firearms. Let's start off talking about revolvers because I've been doing some revolver cleaning videos lately. Let's talk about the wear itself. As you start to put lots of rounds in your revolver, and I know it can depend on the caliber, 44 mag or 357 Magnum versus 38 Special and so on. What are some of the areas you need to watch for in a revolver as you start to rack up the miles on that gun? What do you guys think? Any experience with that at all?
Play in
Number
the
one is
actual
crane
cylinder.
wear.
Go ahead, Tony, and then single shot. We'll get to you, man. Tony, go ahead.
Excessive play in the cylinder, either fore and aft or side to side.
Okay.
That's about the only thing I worry about.
Okay. Single shot. What about you?
Yeah, I was just gonna say you want to watch that area right in that area is a crane wear, and of course your barrel. Those, as far as I'm concerned, are about the most important two areas.
Yeah. So if you're looking at one used, those would be some areas that you definitely need to keep an eye on. Frame cracking issues, is that ever something that could pop up? Is that still a problem these days or not? Is that something you need to watch out for if you go buy one used?
Not that I've ever seen.
Yeah, not so much now.
And then how do you know when the timing is off on the revolver? How do you tell just by playing around with the hammer and maybe doing some dry firing and stuff? How do you know?
Shaving
Cock it.
the bullets.
Cock the thing,
Yeah.
and then try to turn the cylinder, and if it clicks into place, it's out of time.
Okay. The other question I had for you guys with this one with the revolvers is I'm doing revolver cleaning videos. They're not my revolvers, so I'm not using anything volatile on the revolvers at all. Stainless steel models, when you get those burn rings, the flash on the front of the cylinder, what do you guys use to take that off? Because some people, I've been watching other videos on it, and a lot of guys recommend like a chrome polish or like a mag wheel polish or stainless steel polish, but they say you got to be careful because if you do it too much, you can actually wear down the front and cause a gap between the barrel and the cylinder. I don't believe that if you do it by hand. But what do you guys think about that?
Ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You have to put a large amount of elbow grease into cleaning the front of them things off. I mean, it is a pain. Even with, I use either Mother's aluminum polish or turtle wax chrome polish.
Mm-hmm.
And neither one of them work really good.
So just use
I don't want to clean them.
Yeah. Well, that's just part of it too, is when I use them and then shoot them and I don't ever clean out the front of the cylinder because it's like I said, they're not my guns. So I don't want to risk, scratching them. But I know like some guys have just mentioned, stainless steel polish and things like that where you don't have to worry about it. Oh, see. So Jason Stewart says the forcing cone and gap to cylinder, the cylinder gap. Yeah. Is that really going to be an issue or not? So, single shot, you got a question out there. William Trader says, single shot, are you driving through Idaho after your 34? If so, there's a nice gun shop, deli in Caldwell, Idaho called T-Bones, Buns and Guns.
He ain't hauling bacon. I done asked.
So, single shot, have you been to T-Bones, Buns and Guns? Dude, I want a t-shirt that says that on there. That sounds awesome. T-Bones.
I don't think so. I'll be coming across I-90. I'm not sure where that's at.
You might just have to deviate a little bit and go hit some of the back roads and go check this place out. So I like it. That kind of like reminds me when you go down to Texas, you'll have a place that'll be like a gun store / barbershop / truck stop / smokehouse.
T-Bone Buns and Guns, a actual gun shop, isn't the first thing I'd think that place was.
Gentlemen's club and sporting goods store, yeah.
There is an idea right there.
I was about to say,
man, I think of
where the ladies come out and with different firearm every time.
God, that'll make a sale. So Tony, that's your second topic for Monday's early watch podcast. What businesses should you combine under the same roof, and which businesses should you not combine under the same roof with firearms? There you go.
Don't ask us to think too damn much.
Waffle House / gun store. That would be like my dream right there.
No, because that's like a 3 to 4 a.m. after a hard night of drinking. And well, I mean, I guess your gun sales would go up then.
Yeah, they have a place in Oxford, Nebraska. We actually have like the Ivy League city names in Nebraska. We have a Harvard and a Cambridge. There's a place called the Oxford Locker in Oxford, Nebraska. And it is I've been there before. It is a gun store butcher shop. That is the coolest thing. You walk in, you got a pistol case on the right, and then across from you, you got the prepared fried foods case, like the chicken wings and gizzards. And then next to that, they have a rack of shotguns. And then you got your smoked meat case. And then next to that, you got your rifles. And in between beef jerky, they have stacks of ammo. It's like you've died and gone to heaven. This place is so cool. So I'd gone in there, man.
No sides of beef hanging?
Oh no, dude, they got everything. They got the sausage links hanging, and you get the ham and the steaks. They do deer processing. I mean, it's like if you want a prototype man cave, that is it. Nowhere can you go pick up. I've never been to another place where you can buy ribeyes and a Mosin Nagant in the same transaction on the same receipt. So
that would be,
dude, it's awesome. They have a second one that doesn't sell guns, but what's that?
I would frame that.
Foos, the second one is in Kearney, Nebraska, which is 40 miles west of Grand Island, but Oxford is actually south of Lexington. It's like, you guys know where Grand Island, Nebraska is, where the Hornady plant is. It's about 95 miles south and west of Grand Island, but it's definitely worth going into. Like, you walk in there and it's like, yeah, it's literally meat and guns and meat and smoked cheese and guns and ammo. All the ammo's in the back. Yeah, they used to have Spam cans, stacked up next to hot dog buns, most and ammo. So, anywho, I guess we're kind of getting away from the topic, but all right. So yeah, I just wanted to chat a little bit about the revolvers. What do you guys use? What's your preferred go-to gun cleaner? I'm always kind of curious because I bounce between CLP, Rem oil, and Cleanse oil. I'm just going to do round the horn on this one. Tony, what do you use for cleaning your firearms? What's your preference?
Rem oil or Ballistol.
Oh. And funny thing about in Nebraska, Ballistol, it's a little hard to find. Like, you'd have to go to a hardware store to go get it. You're not going to find it in a lot of the gun stores or even in like Walmarts and stuff like that. Ballistol Squib actually sent me some because I'd have to order it online because I couldn't find any within like a 90-mile radius of where I was living. So what'd you say now? You said Ballistol and what else?
Rem oil.
Oh yeah, Rem oil. Yeah, a lot of people rip on it, and I've been using it for when did I get a first gun? Probably 30 years, and I've never had issues at all. Like, if I want a thinner coat on a firearm and not such a greasy coat like CLP, then I'll bust out the Rem oil and I'll put guns in my gun lockers and gun safes for years, like 2 years, pull it out, run something through the barrel, and there's no oxidation in it. The receivers are fine. There's no pitting. I mean, I don't handle them once I put them in the gun locker. They're wiped off and clean. But a lot of people rip on Rem oil. And I mean, the only thing I've noticed about Rem oil on certain blued finishes, when you wipe it on, it kind of does like a hazy swirly. It doesn't buff out shiny. Rem oil doesn't. CLP does, but Rem oil doesn't on certain finishes.
Film and protection it's leaving on there.
Yeah. So if you want it to look like, clean, shiny blued, it's not gonna be because it's got the, the stuff on the outside of it. But I don't notice that with parkerizing or anodizing or stainless, So, I mean, Rem oil is the budget choice. I know for a while there around here, you couldn't get a can of CLP if your life depended on it. You pretty much had to order it online or, for whatever reason, the Safari Land sold out everywhere.
I actually switched from regular Rem oil to Rem oil Pro. And there's no real reason for it. That happened to be what I picked up.
Yeah.
I think it's a little thicker.
Mm-hmm.
But
the Rem oil wipes are pretty nice too because they're super saturated. So you can wipe a lot of guns down with them. If you ever get the little packets of the prepackaged Rem oil wipes, you can cut them up into little patches and run them through your barrels and stuff. They work really good. Manuel M61 says Ballistol, I can only find it on Amazon. Yeah, it's a little difficult. I don't know if it's just a Nebraska thing or what, but it's just not that popular around here. So go ahead, Tony.
I really don't like the smell of Ballistol, so I don't use it as much as the Rem oil.
Mm-hmm.
But it does a good job, especially cleaning.
Oh yeah. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you're not supposed to eat it, but I believe it's 100% natural. It's not chemical based. It's natural. It has mineral oils in it or naturally derived ingredients. So like I've been using in my cleaning videos, I've been wearing gloves a lot more in the last couple of years because, my hands get saturated in these gun cleaners for hours. I'm cleaning guns, making videos and stuff. And it's probably not the best thing in the world for you. I'm not going to get all, eco SJW about it, but when it comes to chemicals, you got to be careful because the lifetime of this stuff could get you cancer. You got to watch out for that.
Man,
Cow pies are 100% natural too, but I ain't sample them.
Oh yeah, no, they're delicious. They're fantastic. We've got them out back.
Why don't that surprise me?
When you were down here, I could have let you have like 50 gun cleaning videos if you wanted to.
Oh, I know. I should just move in next summer and just set up a studio and film and just clean all your guns.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's see. I'll take a week off and I'll just come on down and we'll.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Just give me a cot in the corner. So, dude, I love making cleaning videos. If you guys check my channel, and I'm not trying to toot my own, I've got like maybe 50 at this point, 50 different cleaning videos that I've done, but they're all multi-part, filmed, edited. Sometimes the lighting wasn't the best because it would depend on the background and the color of the gun and stuff. And most of the filming for those cleaning videos was done in the kitchen of our old house, right on the countertop. So it's I love making those videos. It's relaxing for me. So yeah.
Well, after you get done at Poose's, I'll give you another 30 or so.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome. I'm sure I can find something that you got that's not in my collection of videos. So yeah, Foose does half of what Foose has. I've never cleaned before. So
K31, some Mausers, and
well, that C308 I want to buy from you. You're like, do you want me to clean it before I give it to you? And I'm like, absolutely not.
Oh, it's filthy. The inside is
this.
You're gonna be like, holy crap.
This might be a good one to test out. I mean, I've been using cleanse oil because it seems to work really, really good and doesn't leave a super thick coating. So it's a little pricey, but yeah.
So the C308, I don't think I've actually ever cleaned the inside of this.
It's a good thing I bought another bag of patches. So
yeah, and I use like white lithium grease for the grease in that gun. So it's nice and caked.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to dirty up a couple brushes on this one, I think. So I've had my share of just nasties before that I've had to work, especially Cosmoline and stuff like that. So real quick, single shot. What is your go-to cleaner? What do you like to use, man?
Oh, most of the time I'm either using Harpies or CLP, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had pretty good luck with that. With the black powder stuff, if I'm doing that, I'll use Thompson Center products on cleaning, and they make a yellow paste stuff it's a lube and a cleaner.
Oh,
and
okay.
when you're shooting black powder, you run those patches through your barrel there every round of shots if it's a revolver, or 3 or 4 shots if it's a rifle, and it helps to clean all that crap out of there, because black powder is very corrosive. If it's left in the weapon, you might as well kiss that weapon goodbye, because it's going to destroy it.
Yeah,
so you've got to get that residue out of that weapon ASAP.
Absolutely.
So
Ballistol mixed with water at a 1/10 or 10% mix works really well with black powder.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I got a black powder revolver I haven't even tested yet, and I need to make sure I can clean it. When it's, I think Squib either sent to me a video or posted a video on cleaning the revolver, like how to actually wash it out and stuff when you're done shooting it, when you get back from the range. But the 10% mix on Ballistol. Let's see, the Ballistol that I have is aerosol, so I'd almost have to get like a liquid form or something if I was going to dilute it.
Actually, most of the time I do black powder stuff. It's just a bucket of hot water.
Mm-hmm.
In it.
That's what I've been told works really, really well with it. Yeah. Ozzy Osbourne out there says
WD-40.
Oh yeah. Ozzy Osbourne says lead clean gun cloth cleans revolvers pretty good. I've heard about those. Brake cleaner works good on heavy carbon. Yeah, that's something to consider too. Brake cleaners, because it dries instantly, which is really nice. Jason Stewart says I use RIG on my blued rifles. Guns still have the wet look after years of sitting in a safe. Yeah, interesting.
For my high use guns, like my competition guns and stuff like that, I use the Lucas oil stuff cleaner.
Yeah, I've got a couple cans of the Lucas oil cleaner too. I did a video on different gun cleaners that I've used and kind of my opinions on them and stuff. And the Lucas oil was one of them. It's not bad. I remember I got packets of it with a couple SIG pistols that I bought back in the day.
That stuff, it breaks down carbon really well. and really quick, and that's what I do.
So that's what I should be using on the C308 is what you're telling me.
Sure.
Oh, I will. But just soak it.
Yeah, it's
cool. AWAG, what's your go-to for cleaning? Because you've got a lot of different rifles that you clean. Do you use a variety of cleaners, or do you have kind of one that you just kind of stick with for everything?
Okay, so what I do is if I have, I mean, if we're talking about revolvers, I don't own a revolver, so
no. You can talk about any classic guns. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
So with my Mosin gun, I try to stick towards like fully disassembling the entire rifle first, and then pulling out those parts that are dirty, like so that I don't get anything on the stock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I like to use Breakthrough. It's just a solvent. Mm-hmm. And then after I'm done with the solvent, this stuff actually really eats up carbon. And I'll get into how I know.
That's Safariland makes that, right? The same people make CLP. Or they make one called Powder Blast. But if you use that stuff, you guys got to use that outside. Because that stuff, the dissolving, like the Breakthrough and the Bore Blaster stuff is nasty. You want to make sure you've got good ventilation.
It's called breakthroughclean.com. It's apparently it's biodegradable. It's all naturally made and stuff. Okay. And they come in clear bottles. It almost looks like just water in there.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
I use that, and I let all of the parts like soak in that for a good like 10-15 minutes, just so that it softens up all the parts. And normally I like to heat up my parts too, not super hot, but just like something that you could pick it up and like hold it in your hand and just say, hey, that's pretty warm. It helps make the chemical do its thing faster. Okay. So after I get all those parts out and I let them soak for a little bit, I just go over them with a brass brush, and that usually gets all the gunk and junk off. Barrel bore maintenance for all of my guns, except for my bolt guns. I do not clean the bores of my bolt guns. And there's a reason for that. I'll explain later. But I'll just take the bore snakes, and I'll just run some CLP on the tail and just run it through 2 times. That's it.
Okay. Cool. All right. Foos, what about you, man? What's your go-to for cleaners?
That
just strictly the Lucas.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know they make a variety of cleaners you can get to. They have more than one. They have a whole family of cleaners.
It's the bore stuff. It's made for the bores of your firearms.
Okay.
I just put that on a paper towel and wipe stuff down until it's clean, and then I put Lucas oil on it and go. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I use that stuff is because I picked it up off of prize tables, and so it was free to me.
Oh, cool. Okay. So, well, yeah, I guess something useful, right?
Like if it works, it works. Like those guns don't stay in a safe. They don't do anything. And like whenever I put stuff in a safe, I have the goldenrod in there, so I'm really not worried about the finishes. Mm-hmm. So just put them in there. Whatever.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. If you do live in a humid environment, you may want to look into either like an electronic dehumidifier. There's a lot of different options. I just use big packages of silica desiccant, which I just change out yearly. I just buy them off of Amazon. It probably would be cheaper for me to buy something. I know that like Stack-On makes a rechargeable gun dehumidifier that my dad has. My dad's got a huge gun safe, and you plug it in the wall and recharge it, and you pop it out and put it in your safe. And there's a light that changes color when it needs to be recharged, but it goes like months and months and months before you have to plug it back in. So like every 3 months, he just takes it out, plugs it in overnight, pops it back in the safe, and it does whatever it does. So
I had one of those, and then I switched to a goldenrod, and I just keep it plugged in.
Yeah, so the goldenrod is literally just a golden colored rod that ionizes the air. You plug it into the wall.
It just heats the air up and pushes moisture out.
Okay. So that's definitely something to look into. I guess I didn't think about the long-term storage of the firearms since we're just talking about, cleaning and maintenance and stuff like that. So, All right, so the next gun that I wanted to discuss, since we've basically covered the basics of revolvers, cleaning them and so on, they're pretty easy to do. The AR-15. There's a lot of guys that'll shoot thousands of rounds through their ARs and they won't clean them or take them apart. That's fine. You do you. You do whatever you want to do. What are some of the wear and tear areas on an AR that could be points of concern?
So short-term wear and tear on an AR system is the one thing that you will wear out the quickest and the most is your gas rings. Your gas rings make sure that the gas that's going into the bolt, because technically it's not a true direct impingement system. It's like a sort of hybrid piston direct impingement system. Mm-hmm. If you get gas that blows past that because your gas rings are shot, it will cause malfunctions and the gun just won't run good. Or as normally is how I would explain it is the gun's not happy. I had a 7-inch pistol that I had one of those rare breed forced reset triggers in, and I ran 2,000 rounds in that without cleaning it. The only time that I had to take it apart was after about every 500 rounds. I would change the gas rings out.
Wow, 500 rounds gas rings?
Dude, it chews through gas rings because essentially, I mean, I'm not saying that it is because it's not. It functions similar to a machine gun, where it's just chewing through all this ammo so quickly, and it's getting really hot. And when you have a lot of heat, that creates excess friction, and it basically burns off all the oil, especially with, after you're like 4 or 5 magazines in.
I've noticed a huge difference in bolt carrier group wear and tear in my carbine gas systems on my ARs versus my mid-links. And then for pistols, I've only got this one behind me, which it's proprietary. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit beefier bolt carrier group because it's 762 by 39. But yeah, I mean, I think, and if you run an AR pistol, I mean, the extreme pressure and wear and tear you're going to be getting on that bolt carrier group because everything is shortened, everything is now, modified versus rifle length or mid length. It's definitely going to accelerate the wear. And it also kind of depends on the quality of your bolt carrier group, the metallurgy going into it.
Yeah. So the pistol that I had, I put around 2,000 rounds in it within the time span of about 2 or 3 weeks. And that's mostly just taking it to the range, showing people how the trigger worked, and then like, hey, you want to shoot it? And just tossing them a mag. It got to the point that there's pretty much no rifling left in it. And when I took it apart, the gas tube actually like sagged. You could see that there's a decent sag in the in that let off. So you know how a AR gas tube, it goes into the receiver and then it comes down and then it goes into the gas block.
Yeah.
There's like a nice solid like arc in that
so it's not straight across the barrel, it actually kind of dips,
Yeah, yep. It's right before that bend in the gas block.
When you're talking about those gas rings, you tell me if this is true or not. The very first video that I ever watched on how to clean an AR-15, it was many years ago. It was actually done by a veteran who had recently returned back. He had been serving several tours and had a lot of experience cleaning firearms and stuff. And one thing he had mentioned, it's kind of a secret to make sure that the M4 ran well, is with the gas rings, there's these little tiny gaps in each one. You're supposed to make sure that those are staggered, like at 90 degrees if possible. You don't want those little tiny gaps to all line up in a row because you've got typically 3 gas rings that you're going to have on your bolt. And those little tiny, you ever watch for that when you reassemble it at all?
No, it's crap.
It is. Okay.
What happens is when you have the
anyway?
bolt, when you have the bolt outside of the bolt carrier, they have those gaps. It's kind of like piston rings in a car. Is when it goes into that bolt carrier, it squeezes those rings so that it closes that gap. Or at least closes the gap so much that it doesn't matter. It's when they wear out so much that gap expands out and it gets to the point that there's so much gas bleeding off past it, kind of like how worn out piston rings in a car.
So how do you know when those gas rings are worn out? Will the bolt just not stay in the carrier when you push it in there? I know you lock it into place, but still.
What you can do to test your gas rings is when you have the bolt and carrier group outside of the gun, pull the bolt head forward, make sure everything's assembled properly, and then pull the bolt forward like you're about to reinstall it into the gun, but take it and put it bolt face down onto a table. If you let go of it and it collapses in on itself like it's going in the battery, then you know your gas rings are shot.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a sign. And also, just how loose if you just flick it and your bolt carrier, your bolt just kind of like, if it won't stay up itself, like it just falls, like you just said. Yeah, once you reassemble it, you can pull the bolt head out and set it down. If it collapses in on itself, then you definitely are looking at a rebuild.
Yeah, on your and if you flick it out, that's not necessarily a sign that something's worn out. It can just mean that it's a very well broken in gun. Another thing that for long-term maintenance of an AR system, after about like 4,000 or 5,000 rounds, you should look into getting a new bolt as just like the little bolt itself, not the bolt and carrier group.
Yeah.
Because after 5,000 or 6,000 rounds of relatively decent amounts of use, you can develop small micro fractures in your bolt lugs, and it could potentially make your bolt lugs shear off, and that's no fun.
Quick little announcement here. I'd mentioned rnldisplays.com. They make the display that you see behind me, the little wood display. They are having a special right now, so you get a free second magazine with every black AR kit that you order from them. So that's going to give you a second one, so you can have a permanent wall mount and then also have one for the stand and not have to share between the two. So make sure you guys check that out over at rnldisplays.com. Stan is out there from SS Pond. He says, I use a mixture of Croyle and Hoppies when cleaning my barrels. Let's see here. Jason Stewart says, just prepare for the future. Having a replacement AR barrel and gas block is not that much of an investment. Years from now, today's $300 barrel might be $1,000 or unavailable. Yeah, for a long time there, like parts kits sold out and bolt carrier groups sold out, or they were going for $200 or $300. So it's a very firearms parts. It's a very volatile thing to invest in, just because the prices on them can change at any given time. Especially if there's any, talk of any kind of banning or anything like that, it tends to drive the market a little bit. Netflutter says, "Sup, Travi? What's going on, Netflutter? How you doing? Welcome to the podcast this morning." Anyway, go ahead, continue.
So one thing that I don't know, I haven't really seen this that much, but people try to. I've been told to kind of stay away from putting lubricant on the gas rings. Because it can essentially it can act like too much of a seal. And if you have something like a carbine or a pistol system, it increases wear because it's opening and closing so quickly, because you need some bleed off in a gas system like that. It's kind of like if you drop your AR in water, they don't want you shooting it at all, because if the water doesn't compress, and oil is kind of the same, has the same properties as water in a sense that it doesn't really compress as much, and it basically could make a catastrophic failure if you get like water in your buffer tube or something.
Oh yeah. Unless you've got a firearm that's specifically designed to operate in that kind of extreme environment, like I'm thinking of
piston systems.
Okay, so that'd be a whole different kind of item altogether. If you have a piston-driven AR, your wear and tear items and your maintenance are going to be a lot different.
So one thing that I like to keep on hand for all of my guns is spare gas tubes. Obviously, spare gas rings, I like to buy them as bulk packs. I at least have 50 or 60 gas rings on hand at one time. Spare firing pins. It's one of those things. It's just like owning a firearm. It's better to have one and not need it than not have it. I would invest in a titanium firing pin, because if you are like me and don't clean your guns very often, titanium firing pins are a lot lighter than a steel firing pin, and they're stronger. So you have less of a chance of, number one, breaking it, because titanium, and also less of a chance of I'm trying to think of the word. Basically, slam fires. That's what I was.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the ARs. Obviously, what about the buffer springs? Do you ever need to replace those?
After
20,000 rounds, maybe, or what?
I would say 10 to 15. Now, one spring that I have grown to really, really like is the Geisley Super 42. It's a braided spring, kind of like how an AK recoil spring is. It's so that adds extra durability, and it doesn't really make that twang noise at all. So what braided springs do is normal AR springs are just regular coil springs. If you end up breaking a coil spring, that entire it's like a weak link in a chain. If you break a coil spring, the whole thing pretty much like just collapses. It's no good anymore. With a braided spring, if you have one of those braids break, you have basically two other springs to keep that whole thing together. And there have been instances where I've seen people running them in actual machine guns, and they just don't fail at all past like 70,000 rounds. They're like changing multiple barrels on these guns, and the spring just will not fail.
Another thing to keep in mind about the AR-15s too is you want to make sure you don't over lubricate them. When you take them apart, you look at your bolt carrier group and you look at the inside of your receiver. You look at your lower. You'll start to see those areas where you've got that metal on metal contact. That's where you want to make sure you've got the lubrication, but you want to make sure that the whole thing is just not just drenched in oil, because you'll start to attract a lot of sand and dirt and grime and things along those lines. So, I always like to just give just a quick wipe off of the internal parts before I go to the range. Come back and clean it. You can leave a little more oil on it, a little more cleaner on the guns if you're going to be storing them for any given amount of time. Of course, if you got something like what Foos says, the goldenrod, and you're safe, that'll maintain the air temperature, you can lay off the oils and cleaners and things like that. It all kind of depends. If you're in a high humidity environment, like a high salt, content environment, you may have a little bit more maintenance care that you have to do with your firearms versus somebody who lives out, say, in the Midwest or out in the Great Plains like me, where we don't quite get the humidity that other places get, or the salt exposure at all, on a daily basis. But
so I want to ask a question. Is normally when I do lubricants on my guns, I don't use oil at all, ever.
Gun oil, motor oil? What are you talking about?
So I don't use any type of oil. I like using a grease, particularly molybdenum disulfide grease, which also is known as molly grease or molly paste, or it stays put a lot longer, and in my opinion, especially with ARs, it smooths out the actions faster.
I don't know. I mean, I use CLP and I'll store a gun in my safe for years. I'll pull out the internals, and it's still, say wet, but there's still, trace amounts of oil that are on it. I don't know if it really matters necessarily.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I wanted to know. It's just like, do you guys really see any difference between using grease and using oil?
Foos, you want to chime in on that one, because you're one of the people that I know that uses, grease on firearms and things like that. Do you notice that at all? Would you prefer to use grease versus like an oil, or not? You might be away from his computer right now. I don't know. I use grease with my AKs. Tony, what were you going to say?
I used white lithium on my semi-auto handguns for a while, but it was actually a little more messy than I liked.
Just with the cleanup afterwards, like it would kind of cake up a little bit inside the slides and stuff, or what?
It would get in places where it's tended to sling itself around inside the gun. Because I was using lithium spray, and I couldn't get it all wiped off like I should without actually taking the thing apart.
Yeah.
But man, I don't think it matters that much.
Yeah, the main key is just so long as you keep it clean and you do some regular maintenance on it, Yeah.
Yeah, both of the lubricants are fine. It's the grit that's in them from the dirt.
Yeah. Squiblet is joining us. Squib, you want to chime in on this one? Care and maintenance of the AR-15? Any important points you want to make?
So I tuned in on the YouTube side there just a while ago before I jumped on, and I'm glad AWAG said what he said about the gas rings. Do what you want with your gas rings, but yeah, it's not really an issue like some people want to make it out to be. But here's the thing: we've all got our quirks. As far as the maintenance of our firearms, there are some things, some people, you got the person, I never clean them. All right, hey, dude, it's your gun. Right?
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not going to buy your gun. If you go, hey, man, you want to buy it? I'm selling my gun. You went, no, dude, you never clean your guns. I don't want it.
It's got charcoal in it, you take off the slide. It's like, oh.
and then you've got the person that cleans it every time they go out to the range, even if they only run 1 or 2 mags through it. There's nothing wrong with that either. That's what they had to do.
I blame my parents.
They had us do that in the military. But sometimes I think they were just trying to give us something to do so we weren't bored. So there's a balance in between. I mean, with black powder, obviously, you want to clean every single time. Otherwise, you're going to have issues. But I think that some of the care and maintenance of firearms really comes down to your personal, your habits. Do you? Like, there have been times where I come home from the range and I'm spending all afternoon cleaning all the guns we took out. And I'm thinking I could be doing something better with my afternoon. Or there's times where it's like, I got to go. I got somewhere, and I just throw them in the safe, and it's smokeless powder. I'm not worried about it, but I try to get back to it. Try to be mindful of that. But overall, just what like you're a big proponent of the bore snake, right? I have one bore snake. I'm not anti-bore snake, but it's just not my thing. I'm a cleaning rod kind of guy, or just the oils. I've got probably 30 different gun oils down there. I don't
have one particular preference. I've got about 5 or 6 different brands that I run, but primarily, I'll find one that works really good and I'll just use that for a while.
And something else that I've noticed, like for show prep, I watched your CZ cleaning video last night, or it was really this morning, because I get home from work so late. So you brought up once again the people that make the comments about the oil on your firearm, but it is as simple as wiping it off. Yeah. Now, if you have it in a dusty environment, or sand, that's going to attract to it. But I learned how to clean my firearms in a saltwater environment. So yes, we absolutely had extra oil left over, or if you use a synthetic, like a grease or an oil, and then it sort of leaches out a little bit. It's going to do that, not immediately. So it's something where you can simply wipe it off with a cloth and you're good to go. But if you have an environment where you're tracking a lot of dirt, I can understand why somebody would want to go with a different kind of lubricant or less lubricant. But overall, it's just a habit. But what you do with your guns, I don't see an issue with that. And I just think it comes down to personal preference. This is like the whole 9mm versus 45 argument, right?
Yeah. What is it? Mario Mosen makes a pretty good point. Squibs is like what you were saying. Hello, everyone. Everybody's lubricant should be based on where you live. For example, when I was overseas in a desert environment, we use a dry lubricant. CLP is good for most applications. I know I've been playing around with a can of those. I give them out every month. Those Otis 085 or 08S wipes. Those are really nice because they're not super thick, but they do clean, what you're using, but they don't leave like a lot of residue behind, which I think is really good. So, you can get a lot of wipes that already have the oil in them too.
If I were to try to use a dry lubricant that I had in stock, I'd probably go with Rem oil. I use Rem oil for if the gun's been setting for a while, I haven't, or maybe I haven't oiled it, left an additional coat of oil on it, and I'm going out to the range, I'll hit it with some Rem oil on the bench before I put it in the case. I always bring one in my range bag. If you start to have, in my experience, you start to get jams or some sort of feeding issues, you spray some Rem oil in there, you'll keep running. I don't use it for cleaning. I'm not saying you can't use it for cleaning, but in a like what Mario Mosen's talking about, in a desert environment where you're going to have sand blowing around and that stuff it'll definitely jam up an AR-15. Something like that. Maybe in one of your cleaning videos in the future, maybe you show off those Otis wipes, or maybe I missed it.
No, I have not. I grabbed one can and was playing around with them. Since I had a move that happened, all the guns came out of the gun safes and went back in. Everything got handled, so everything got wiped off and cleaned as it went back in. Not totally disassembled, just quick run through the barrel, through the bores, and then a wipe off on the outside. So those wipes, just having a couple of them handy just for a quick little maintenance wipe was really kind of nice to use. So, yeah. We do have a quick question, and I don't want to deviate from the topic. We're going to come back and go on to the AKs. So AWAG, make sure that you're on point here. Sam of Anarchy 92 says, sorry to quickly change the subject. What tactical vests or plate carriers do you guys have, and which plates do you use if you have one? I mean, I did a video on mine several years ago, and I know a lot of guys make fun of the brand, but I've got a Condor plate carrier that's actually designed for duty or for actual use, not airsoft. It's an actual, and so anyway, the Condor one that I have, I think I paid like $60 for it on Amazon. And then the plates that I use are from a company called Scorpion Tactical or Tactical Scorpion. And after watching a couple YouTubers shoot them with 308, 9, 44 mag, 357, I decided to go with that brand. And it's about $150 setup. It's heavy. It's AR 500 steel, but it's got the spall coating on it. You've got a front plate, rear plate, and side plates. And the vest, I mean, the thing probably weighs 50 pounds. It's heavy, but I mean, I would trust it if I needed it. So I would recommend that, or just go over to ar500.com and just go pick up whatever your budget will allow. You can go with, you can get some nice ceramic plates if you want to, which can be pretty expensive. But otherwise, that's what I use, which is more of a budget entry, which will work. It did resist a couple shots of 223, believe it or not. But I know Mr. Guns and Gear tested that brand, that Tactical Scorpion brand, and he did punch through it with some hotter 5.56 rounds, but it did take a couple hits of 55 grain 223 without actually penetrating. So that's what I went with. I recommend, I have it. It's not a tactical fantasy. I mean, I've been in a town where we've had civil unrest before, and pardon my French, but that shit really gets you thinking that, okay, it's getting real now. It's in your back door. And so that's why, yeah.
I was just going to ask what you think you're going to run into that you need.
Yeah, well, when you've got people saying, hey, let's take the protests to the suburbs, and they're posting those messages up on Facebook, and you see smoke in the distance, it's like, okay, this is a little not normal, and I'm not getting paranoid, but it was a reality for me last summer. And and I talked about this before. I had to take my wife downtown in Lincoln for a meeting in the afternoon for her job. And it was a very bad time to do it because it was during the protests and they were planning for one in the afternoon. And there was a little bit of some heated skirmishes between law enforcement and people, and it got a little ugly. And I thought, okay, this is weird,
Did you have one for her?
No, because she had to go into her meeting. So no, I did not actually. Yeah.
That explains some things.
We'll go back to the topic. AWAG, the AK-47, care, maintenance, points of interest. Enlighten us, AWAG.
You guys care for your AKs? I'm joking.
I was just thinking that.
Okay, so just general cleaning. Is it better to use grease versus oil on the bull carrier group? Is that what you'd recommend?
Honestly, since it's such a high tolerance gun, and the fact that, comparatively speaking to the AR, I would honestly use a thick grease on any type of like pressure bearing part, almost like your bolt face, the bolt lugs, that kind of stuff. For like the recoil spring, depending if you have a parts kit and it still has like cosmoline or gunk or crap on it, use like an oil to like thin it out. But if you have a new production AK, use a grease on it. Stay away from putting lubricants on the piston, because as soon as you take a shot, all that wonderful oil that you put onto the piston is going to go out the dump sides on the
yeah.
So other than that, just like the bolt lugs and the bolt carrier, the rails, and maybe the trigger area if you have a really like crappy trigger. But other than that, it's pretty cut and dry with the AK.
I use does it matter? I use a red grease that I bought at Walmart because they didn't have the white lithium stuff. Does it?
I don't
matter?
think the AK cares.
No, but I didn't know if it would cause accelerated wear if I was using a grease that's not the white lithium stuff. Because I
don't know that I would recommend white lithium that for firearm application. You got a squeaky office chair or something like that, and some automotive applications. I'm not saying that white lithium is crap. I'm just for the heat and the pressure and whatnot. I'm
I use like a mechanical grease, like the red stuff. The red stuff, that's
like a bearing grease.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Yep.
So the reason why I like using the moly paste or the molybdenum disulfide is when the gun heats up, that paste it has a very, very tiny molecular structure. So when it heats up, there are little microscopic divots, like your machining marks on any type of metal surface in a gun. So what that molybdenum will do is basically embed itself in that little crevice, smoothing everything out. So after about like 100 rounds, it's gonna smooth it way out.
That does work. You can do that also with some of that grease on a patch. If you've got a rifle barrel that's got a little bit of pitting inside of it, minor pitting, and you embed that carbon inside of those grooves and pits, firing it's going to make it harder. I've done this with a M1 Garand barrel, and it made a sizable difference on the accuracy of that rifle.
Yeah, so I'm a big proponent of the molybdenum disulfide paste. I have a M16A4 clone that I kind of built as like a fun duty gun, and it's smooth as glass now.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a few people making some comments that they noticed that by using grease, it seems to smooth out the inside of the receivers, which I think I need to use on some of my Ruger American bolt action rifles because they're just like, oh, heck, even this thing makes that. It's got the swirly marks inside the receiver because they didn't really take the time to finish it well. And so it takes lots of rounds for that to break in and to quieten up and smooth up, a little bit. Let's see. We've got Ozzy Osborne says axle grease is good. M. Gabriel says molybdenum disulfide is also what you coat bullets with. I think Garage Guns, when I bought the 6.5 Creedmoor ammo from him, that's what his bullets are coated with. He does his own coatings.
So thing with moly bullets is you got to be careful for is when you load those bullets and that bullet is getting pushed into the rifling, if you have a load that jams it a little bit, is that molybdenum paste can get so hard that you can see pressure spikes, like pretty dangerous pressure spikes in some applications, high round count applications. So it's one of those things that if you have something that's precision rifle and you shoot it a lot, it's kind of a conundrum because most of the time with precision rifles, you really don't want to clean the bore every time you shoot it because you'll have differences in accuracy and velocity. Whereas if you don't clean it at all, it's consistently pushing out crap while it's laying crap down. So it's a state of equilibrium in that barrel, and you'll get way more consistent results. But if you're using those moly bullets, it could build up at the chamber and cause you some high pressure signs for a load that, like, say, 500 or 600 rounds earlier was shooting amazing.
Yeah, you gotta use that stuff in moderation.
Yeah. Now, AWAG, back to the AK-47, and I'm not trying to rag on American-made AK-47s, but it seems like the only time I ever hear people complaining about AK-47s is when it's an American-made AK-47. Do you have to worry about trunnion wear, bolt wear, anything like that on like a Visca or, when you guys have a Riley Defense? What is it that you need to watch for in those bolt carrier groups if it's not a Wasser or it's not a Bulgarian or it's not a Russian AK? Because it seems like those don't seem to have the same issues that our American-made AKs do.
So people like to complain a lot, and I don't understand why they just like complaining about things. They'll hear something down the grapevine, and then they'll look at their gun and be like, "Oh, well, that could happen to mine," and then they'll just start spewing crap about, how it's a bad gun. Like, for all intents and purposes, even maybe the U.S. made Century guns, I'm not entirely sure. I still wouldn't trust them that much. You're not gonna shoot that as much as you think you are. There's been plenty of research and development on, tool hardening, for your your trunnions and stuff like that. There are things out there that, yes, they do use cast trunnions, but if you look at it, as long as the heat treating is good, then you shouldn't have any issues. Just look at like the M1 Garants, M1A Springfields. They are cast trunnions, but they are heat treated.
Well, here's the thing, Aweg, though. A lot of people have bought RAS 47s, and that was one of the most controversial. I remember watching that on AK-47 operators, channel, and other channels are showing, accelerated, bolt and trunnion wear, 1,000 rounds in. It's failing on.
Yes.
Would you recommend a no-go? If you're going to buy an American-made AK, should you just have a simple no-go gauge, or what do you is it even worth investing in those things or not worried about it?
Understand that those videos are like 1,000 rounds at one time. You're not going to go to the range and blow 1,000 rounds in one sitting. I mean, you might, but in all reality, you're going to go to the range with 2 or 3 magazines. You're going to shoot a couple groups or shoot some steel plates, show it to your friends, and then you're going to leave.
Yeah, I think what AWAC's trying to say is in these tests, they're trying to break the guns.
Yeah.
And that's just it.
Yeah.
So before the internet, back when we had Guns and Ammo magazine with black and white photos and whatnot,
Shotgun News.
I remember seeing, the articles. A lot of the articles that were written about the AKs, the few that were out there, said that these guns are crap. They run like crap. They're inaccurate. They're made for conscripts with no education, and they're crap. However, they can take a beating. And I've actually somewhere in a box somewhere, I've got a Guns and Ammo or one of those where they actually turned it on its side and are dumping sand into the receiver while shooting it to say it'll run with sand in the receiver, unlike an AR or an M16, right?
Yeah.
But it's just not. Then when I shot an AR or an AK for myself decades later, I'm like, this gun isn't that bad. I mean, I'm not an AK guy. I have one to have one, but it's not what they were saying in all of these magazine articles I read over all of these years when I was younger and didn't have as much experience with guns. And in some of these tests, they were saying how durable the AK was, but just that it was a piece of crap. I think that these YouTube videos, it's the same sort of thing. What AWAC's talking about, you're not going out there trying to beat the crap out of this gun that you just paid $1,200 for, and you're running, thousands of rounds through, especially at today's prices or something else like that. But that doesn't mean that you don't want something that's going to last a lifetime. If you maintain it, if you have good firearm care and you run good ammo through it and that sort of thing, you should be able to get a decent amount of life out of your gun.
Oh, you would think.
I think that if you're looking to get a gun that maybe you want, but you're kind of skeptical because people have regurgitated what they've heard and what they don't have any experience with this, but they've just heard it. Mm-hmm. That if it's got a good warranty and the company's known for good customer service, they'll take care of you one way or the other. Otherwise, you can make a YouTube video going, the customer service sucks. Don't buy it just because of that. And then these companies can, deal with capitalism, right?
Yeah, I mean, after I saw the AK-47 Operators Union video on the RAS 47, I had about 200 rounds through mine. I turned around and sold it, and then I went and bought an AMD-63. So I'm like, I don't want this. And then I bought the AMD-63, and then there's people bitching about that because it had a 4140 steel barrel instead of 4150. Like, oh, yeah, you're going to wear it out in 2,000 rounds. And, unless you're doing mag dump after mag dump, I don't think I really need to worry. It's like you can't buy anything that doesn't have any kind of controversy around it or any kind of complaints about it. Now, if you read reviews and there's a lot of people complaining about one particular problem their guns have had, then maybe that's a point for concern. But I think that a lot of times we just need to just start living and just keep shooting and not worry about it,
So understand as well is sometimes these YouTubers have like a vendetta against certain companies because they heard all the regurgitated crap about one specific thing. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like almost an unconscious bias, and you see that a lot with people with they expect something to be depend my life on this gun, and in reality it's a $500 AR. It's not going to perform as well as say Knight's Armament or LMT or
Krebs,
Krebs Customs
Customs or something Russian,
So in that case, you buy a $500 AR and then you get an upgraded bolt, you get an upgraded barrel, because that's the main thing in them that really matters.
I wouldn't even say that.
Or just go buy two of them since you get two for $1,000 and just shoot the hell out and want to keep one around for fun,
Or just go out and buy parts.
I agree with a lot that's being said here because if you're an extreme ELR shooter, dump the money into the rifle and try to slow that problem of throat erosion down and all this kind of stuff. But if you're just a person that goes out, hunts, maybe pops 5 or 10 rounds through the rifle through before hunting season, to make sure everything is still all well lined up. Yeah, you don't have to spend all this kind of money for $1,000 rifle if you're only going to put 20 rounds through it during the course of a lifetime. Really, I mean, of course, you may be putting more than that through it, but I'm just saying, consider what you're going to be using the weapon for before you dump half a ton of money into it.
AWAG used a term I like there, unconscious bias.
Yes.
So as some of you may know, I'm not a big fan of Glocks. But in those same magazines that I read growing up, before I got into, actually owning my guns, before I got any formal training or anything else like that, Glock. And this is back when they only had 3 models of Glocks, okay? The 17, 18, and 19. That was it. And these things are the Wonder 9s, and these things are indestructible. They're showing pictures of them throwing it out of a helicopter onto concrete, right? And once again, the black and white photos showing in sequence, and the guys in scuba gear, underwater, shooting this thing underwater. And they're doing all these durability tests, and it just Glock. And I'm like, this thing, oh man, I got to have one of these things. The very first handgun I've ever put in my hand was a Glock 17. The very first handgun. Now, the first one I ever shot was an M9, but when I finally shot a Glock for myself, after I had training and after I had experience and after I was expecting something, and boy, what a letdown. And I've tried to cut I've told people time and again, I still haven't shot a full size. I've shot subcompact and compact in 3 different calibers, and it's just not for me. Now, that doesn't mean it's not well built. That doesn't mean that, dude, I love the sights on a Glock. I do. And I understand why a lot of people have them. But that bias I had was positive before I actually shot one. And I'm basing my opinions on Glocks today on my experience. Also, just all you Glocktards out there that just won't shut up about them, I have to give you crap. Even if I like them, I'd have to be just because you guys, just the fanboys, just make it. But I think that just like with the cleaning products, right? I'm not saying go out there and spend a ton of money buying everything under the sun. You can look at product reviews and YouTube videos and all this, that, and the other. But some of this stuff, you've got to go with your experience. What works for you? Or like what Mario Mosen said, what works in your environment?
Yeah. Mario also says, he goes, I don't know, guys. I've got a PSA AR-15 I purchased for $300 and it runs great. I also feel we should judge the user, not necessarily the gun. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think what you're going to buy is going to be fine. I've got a $350 PSA AR-15 also, Mario, and it runs great. It has no issues. I'm not saying I'd want to. It's not necessarily like a go-to-war weapon. I mean, you could shoot with it if you had to. I don't know if I'd want to do Magnum after Magnum with it, but that's not. It's not the idea, behind a $350 AR.
Well, that's the thing. The 7-inch pistol that I have, that's a PSA, PSA upper and lower, and it survived 2,000 rounds of 7-inch pistol torture, basically acting similar to a machine gun, and that's 2,000 rounds. That's no joke for something that's just mag dump after mag dump after mag dump, just absolute abuse on this thing. And it functions just fine. The only issues that I had with it were buffer weights, and that's the Rare Breeds forced reset trigger. That's their one issue, is if you don't have the right buffer, then it just won't.
Kind of finicky. It isn't going to cycle properly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
It all comes down to, just go get experience on these things. Don't take somebody else's word, unless it's like overwhelmingly positive. If somebody's like, oh, this is junk, ask them, why is it junk? And then you got to look at the company policies on things. People rag on like PSA a lot, like, oh, their barrels are junk. It's like, okay, what was your experience? Oh, well, I had one that didn't have feed lips. It's just like, okay, well, you look at PSA's, warranty, send it back to them, get another one.
Since we've now dove headfirst into the topic of Glocks and semi-automatic firearms, let's make that our next topic of discussion, because we've covered revolvers and ARs and AKs. So semi-automatic handguns. What do we need to watch for on those models? Because I've seen a lot of gun videos. I know I've seen videos from certain channels where they bought used guns and they've had some issues and stuff. Recoil springs, guide rods, unless they break, should you not worry about it? You guys buy a used firearm, would you ever just put say you buy a used Glock or you buy a used Beretta 92? Should you just, by default, just change out the recoil springs with fresh ones because it's fairly inexpensive? What do you guys think?
I don't.
I wouldn't unless I had started having issues with them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd wait for something to wear.
If it's working, don't fix it.
Good. Go ahead.
Yeah, wait for it to wear out or break. I've jacked up a couple trigger action bar springs on my M9 by jamming it in there impatiently. And anytime I order parts for the M9 or something like that, I always throw a couple extra springs on there because you never know when I'm going to get impatient again. I suppose if you bought it used and it was kind of, the guy had said it had a lot of wear, you might want to go ahead and change out some springs. Or if you had a problem with a floppy safety or something like that, you might want to get an aftermarket kit that maybe make it a little bit more stout or something like that. But for the most part, if you take good care of this stuff, I would say if you get a 1911, make sure you have an extra recoil spring plug.
Oh yeah.
Because if you launch it across the room, you won't find it again until you move.
I agree. This is true.
Remember when Rick from Rick's Life as I See It moved from Connecticut to Indiana, and there it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up behind a whole bunch of stuff. There's no way he'd get to it if he wasn't putting it in the truck. And it was like Christmas. Oh, I've done that myself. Yes.
Yeah, I just moved myself here a week ago, and the stuff that I found behind the workbench, I found pins for trigger packs. I found the little C clamps that go on the dust covers. I found springs. I found stuff that I lost 2 years ago, just sitting there, just waiting to be discovered. So,
Christmas in July.
Well, basically, I was excited. I put all these. I actually had my gun assembly kit, my parts and everything. That box that you sent me, that Anderson box. I had all that open, ready to go. I was just throwing stuff back into it. It's like, oh, there's that pin punch I lost. Oh yeah, there's that spring. there's that damn detent that cost me $12 to order from PSA.
Now, don't get me wrong. You can get yourself a 2.5 gallon Ziploc bag, and you can put your 1911 in there and take it apart. And if something goes flying, it ain't going anywhere. A buddy of mine told me to do that, and I've done that. Or if with enough practice, or you're in the right area of the house where this can't hide anywhere. But there are some things that if you depend on too how much you field strip the firearm. If you take it down, like there was that one video, Foosh, you were live and you were taking down your CZ75 and you were just going to field strip it, and you go, hey, do you guys want to see me take it down all the way? And everybody's like, yeah. And you were pulling everything out of there. And I'm just thinking, I'm sure he's got a tackle box full of as much shooting as you do with the parts that wear out. But when you take it all the way down where you got pins and springs and stuff, it might be a good idea to have spares. Otherwise, you might be waiting until you do a parts order to get the gun running again.
Oh, yeah. Hey, also joining us here real quick, we got Pat Hirsch joining in. Pat, what's going on? I figured you'd be out in the fields today. What's the deal? You got some spare time today?
Yeah, actually I do. It just rained here about 7 o'clock, so I went out to the field, got all the pivots down. Yeah, you got some rain coming your way.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks, man.
So, yeah.
Pat.
Jump on.
Single shot, go ahead.
Hey, Pat, long time no speak.
Yeah, I was single shot this morning.
He's doing good. So Pat, what about you? You've got some guns that you've acquired here in the last couple of years. Do you have any questions at all, or do you notice anything from a cleaning and maintenance standpoint? Is there anything that just drives you nuts when it comes to? Because I'd consider you. I mean, you've owned firearms, but I consider you more of a new gun owner in our circle. Anything that kind of pops up that kind of drives you nuts, or something that you've noticed just about cleaning and maintenance in general?
Well, just from having old bolt action rifles and stuff through the years, riding around in pickups and stuff, out here on the dirt roads and stuff and going through pastures and stuff. I mean, my stuff gets pretty dirty pretty quick. Unless it's in unless you've got it covered up or something, especially if it's just sitting in the gun rack. My big deal is people that over clean, that just go absolutely nuts every single time that they.
Sorry.
So
what?
My name's Travis P11. I'm a habitual gun cleaner. It's been 3.5 hours since I cleaned my last firearm.
Yeah,
I'm cleaning one right now.
In fact, I shined this one up for today's podcast. It's been sitting there for 3 days. I can't let it's going to get dust on it. Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean, though. I mean,
yeah. It's like don't touch it. It's like no, you're not going to get rust on it just from handling it.
Right.
It's okay. It's okay.
I do the exterior as far as that goes. Just wipe down because in and out of the truck and stuff like that, handling the rifle, just shooting possums and skunks and stuff like that. Especially my Mag 22, it really takes a beating.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So and then a window gets left down, and then it rains.
Yeah. You get that random afternoon Nebraska rainstorm you didn't plan on. It wasn't in the forecast.
Yeah.
Oh.
Drive by a pivot, get hosed down.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I'm an ex-company armorer from the military, so I used to be extremely finicky when I had the weapons coming back into the vault, because who knows how long those things were going to stay there. And boy, some of them guys really got perturbed at me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. It's. I mean, and that's a little bit different because that's.
Oh yeah.
You're outfitting a military, you're outfitting a unit or a platoon. I mean, that's a whole different thing than just your average daily gun owner. Just being a little too overly cautious about it. But again, a lot of guys out there have some pretty expensive firearms, and they don't want to get scratches on them, or they don't want to get nicks on them, or they're they drop a lot.
What in the world is wrong with not wanting a fleck of dust on your gun?
Nothing. Nothing wrong with that at all. We do have a question from Patriot in the Dark. This is an interesting one for the panel. Any considerations on cleaning old, refurbished, refinished firearms, reblued, etc.? Refurb, refinish. Is there any things you should keep away from those guns, like antique firearms or certain finishes that are really finicky?
No, you want to wipe them down.
Yeah.
You want to wipe them down, definitely. You can't just put them in a safe and forget them there. That's not a good thing. I've got mill SERPs myself, and I've got one issue. Well, actually, it's an issue times two, because I've got 2 mill SERPs that went through the fire in the safe, and I want to refurbish the stocks. So I'm gonna have that as a challenge to get the things cleaned up, refinished. I'm not going to touch the metal. The metal is fine, but just the wood on the stocks is quite badly stained. So I've got to do some work with that.
Do you want to be careful with gun oil on wood stocks? Can that be a problem area? You said stains and stuff. I mean, if there's a good finish on a firearm, it shouldn't matter if you use just traditional CLP and you get it on the stock or wipe the stock off with it.
Just wipe it off.
Yeah. I do use, God, what's it called? We use it on our wood furniture. I think it's Old Gold. It comes in a yellow, red, and gold spray can. Furniture polish. English? No, not Old English. No, I think it's called like Old Gold or something like that. But it really, gold. You just spray it on a cloth and you wipe it on and then you buff it out. And that really works well. And that's made to kind of nourish the wood so that it doesn't get dried out and it prevents cracking. And so we use it on some vintage furniture that we actually bought from Stan. But SS Bonded, it really kept it looking nice for a long time. In fact, I still use it around here on the natural woods and stuff like that. So
what was that you use?
Oh, I think it's called Old Gold. Let me go grab it real quick. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, give me 1 second. You guys go ahead and chat.
Because I have some mill SERPs that I just keep in there. I don't do really much with, which is not the best for them, but it's right.
I didn't hear you, Craig. What'd you say?
Oh, I just have some old milsurps that are just sitting in the safe, and I really haven't done much with them. I haven't really conditioned the woods or anything like that on them. So
Yeah.
I probably need to do that. Get the actions up out of the stock and put something on them.
Yeah, that's what I've got to do. I watch a lot of Mark Novak. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him or not, but the man is a genius gunsmith. He's an excellent person for reference. He's made a few suggestions on his channel, and I think I'm going to try that on. I got a Moss 4956 that I'm going to be working with, and I'm going to do that one first. See how that works.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so this is the stuff that I get. Scott's Liquid Gold. This is at SS Pond. Whenever they clean up their wood furniture, this is what they use. This stuff is nice. I don't ever use Pledge or Minwax. This stuff is real. I know you can also use like Murphy's oil soap. That stuff is pretty good too for cleaning. And yeah, this stuff right here.
Yeah.
You put this stuff on. Like you want to try it on maybe try it on a firearm. Like say if you got a 1022 with the wood stock or maybe a Mosin or something. Spray a little area on the wood, and then you spray this on the cloth. You wipe it on, and then with the dry side of your cloth, you just wipe it off, buff it out. And this stuff is amazing. It'll prevent drying and chipping and stuff like that. So fresh almond scent. But be careful. Like if you spray this stuff around, the haze will kind of settle on things. You can kind of get a film on things. Like if I spray this stuff, we've got flat gray walls in this place. If I spray this, like spray down the table, if the mist gets like on the paint, it'll actually like leave like dark spots on the paint and stuff. So you want to be careful because it's kind of thick. But it is really, really good stuff. So I don't know. It's just what I use on the wood furniture, wood furniture and the wood furniture, right? The firearm furniture and then also the furniture in the house. So, all right. So AWAG said he had to take off. No problem, AWAG. That's fine. We'll be wrapping up here in just a little bit. Bolt action guns. Maybe you guys can speak on this one a little bit. Waiting before you clean the barrel. There's a lot of guys that compete. And I know that they'll wait until the end of the shooting season before they clean the barrels on their bolt action guns or their competitive semi-autos, like M14s and M1As and stuff like that. What do you guys think about cleaning out the barrels? That's something you can wait for until the end of your season, shooting season or hunting season once you get your gun tuned? Because, my Ruger American, I put about, 100 and some rounds through that right now, 150 rounds of 308 down that bolt action. And I have not cleaned out the barrel since I first bought it and did my initial cleaning on it. Yeah, Foos.
There's two thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
There is one where, like, if you're a hunter or something like that, keep it clean because that is how your first round is going to be, and the money round is where what it's kind of called. And then for competition shooters, they will foul the barrel because let's say they're shooting 100 rounds or whatever. They're not from wherever it's clean to wherever it's fouled after 100 rounds, your point of aim, point of impact is going to be off. So you get it to where it's fouled enough to where it's kind of in a sweet spot to where you're still putting a little bit more fouling in, but it's not a ginormous amount to where bullet's not also cleaning fouling out. But as far as my pistols, the only thing I do to clean my barrel is send another round down it. Like I never ever every now and again I may run a bore brush down it once, but I never clean my barrels on pistols.
What about so as a competitive shooter, somebody who does a high volume, do you take the slide off and wipe off the barrel, the inside of the slide before competition, or not?
So today, earlier today, I did go down there and I put lube on the rails around on the lugs and the barrel and then the slide.
Okay,
but that's it. Like I don't shoot my match gun all that much, so maybe every 2 to 3 majors I'll do that. But it depends. If I go somewhere and it's really dusty, or rainy or something like that, then I'll go ahead and clean. And then a full disassemble cleaning, maybe once a year, maybe twice a year.
Okay.
As far as rifles go, it depends on the ammunition that you're shooting. got to be careful with, especially with the older milsurps. You don't get a hold of a bunch of corrosive type ammunition. Because if you do, you've got to get that stuff out of there ASAP. Because it's just about like bad, as bad as black powder.
What should you do?
Primer,
exactly. What do you guys? Yeah, the acidic, the corrosive primers can cause the hitting inside the receiver.
It's the salts.
The salts in it. Okay.
Yeah, so you have to get that salts off. Ammonia works well. So does water. Just straight water will rinse all that out. But I'm not talking about a little spray can. I'm talking about under a hose. Like get the action up out of the barrel under a hose.
What about just spraying some Windex in the receiver and wiping it out? I've been told you can do that.
You need more than that.
You do? Okay, something like my Mosin, if I'd happen to fire some surplus ammo through it. Yeah, well, what did the soldiers use then? Because, I mean, they didn't have a garden hose out in the middle of the battlefield. Did they have like an ammonia-soaked rag they would use, or what would they use?
No, it's called they shot a lot more.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, if the gun's going to sit for a couple days between engagements and, because people are saying, oh, you take it home from the range and you shoot that corrosive ammo, a week later it's going to be all pitted,
Yeah, well, I mean, they clean them. I mean, they keep their firearms up. That's your life. That's what you defend yourself with. You keep it up, do whatever you need to do.
Is CLP adequate? Just basic Safariland CLP, is that adequate for cleaning out a receiver with corrosive ammo at all? Or
I wouldn't. No? You need the liquid. You need the water to get the salts out.
Okay, flush it out.
I mean, if anything, back in say middle of World War II, pee on a rag and send it through. Just get it out.
I had some old military stuff that I got a hold of. I think I got it through Tapco, because I don't know if that company's still in business or not. But little 2-ounce tin can, that stuff stunk like you would not believe. But it was made for these milsurps that had the corrosive ammunition. You fired a bunch of that stuff through there. You run a couple of rags with that stuff in there. That stuff was gone.
Yeah.
Hey, Travis.
Yo.
Before you sneak off and go to piss down your gun barrel, please set up.
That will not happen in the cleaning video, Okay, guys, the next step we're going to go ahead and do off camera. Yeah, there you go. No, that's not going to happen. Don't worry about that. Oh, man. God. It just, again, a reminder, make sure you guys watch the early watch on Monday at 9-ish a.m. Central Time. I'm just throwing this out there. It's going to be it's going to be the topic that's going to be the firestorm on YouTube that's just going to take off. So early watch is going to drop it on everybody. Make sure you guys, we're not going to say what the topic is. It's a surprise, but it's amazing what can come from this topic. Right, Tony? You could almost parallel it with firearms. You really could put the two together. You never thought it would happen, but it could. So.
Hopefully not more of this crap about how great the 22 long rifle round is.
No, it has nothing to do with firearms, but it is absolutely ridiculous.
Nope.
It is. You missed the pre-chat. It was classic. I really wish we were live for it. We should have been, because it was everybody that heard it was like, what? We'll tell Pat, we'll tell you after we're off air what the topic is on Monday, okay?
22 LR is the greatest round ever. So.
Oh, geez.
Nah.
Especially that Remington Thunderbolt. That stuff is horrendous.
Whew. That's good stuff. Oh, man. All right. Is there anything else you guys can think of for firearms maintenance, cleaning that we need to talk about? Maybe like your M1 Garands, to maintain those, to clean them, to lubricate them. Is that more of a grease application, or is that more of a CLP? What do you guys think about that? M1s, M14s?
I just use CLP.
Would you apply grease at any of the parts on an M1 Garand at all?
I do.
You do?
Do you?
It's in one of the manuals.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the manual. Yeah.
Yeah. It calls for a high pressure grease, which nowadays everything's EP, extreme pressure, so that's like just using a higher grade of oil or whatnot. But that's the manual that I was looking in was so old that they didn't have that back then. And you don't put it on excessive, but therein lies maybe something you might expect with the synthetics. I use a full synthetic grease. I use Royal Purple EP2, and it will ooze. When it's setting in the safe, it will ooze a little bit, but it just wipes right off.
I have to look at that squib because I've got to do that one of mine. I haven't touched that thing for quite a while, so I've got to put some rounds through it, and then I'm going to have to do a good cleaning on it. That's the rifle that I carbonized that barrel with MB grease.
Well, you don't have to use full synthetic on a Garand. You absolutely do not. It's just something I choose to do. I'm in a cold environment. I mean, I took the thing hunting last year finally. So,
Me too.
I wanted to run in a negative 20 degrees. I want it to run in 100 degrees. And it's just something where this goes right back to preference. You know, there's somebody out there who swears by synthetics in their car, right? And then another person goes, nope, just use conventional. And both of you are right.
Yeah.
I did a video last winter where I put CLP on gun parts and sat it out in the winter when it was like 12 or 15 below zero and let it sit all day. And it didn't freeze. It stayed liquid, surprisingly. And I think I put it on maybe a bulk carrier group or something and just left it on there and sat it out the door. And it didn't freeze. Now it might freeze when it's in a gun if it's surrounded by metal and stuff, but I was surprised. I was really surprised about that. All right.
Yeah, I've got to consider that myself. Where up in Maine, it gets cold. So.
See, DJ Play Nice says Royal Purple is good stuff. It's an oil for those of you not familiar with it, a motor oil. Simple Green and some citrus cleaners have worked wonders too. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Okay. All right, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and call it. We're almost at 9:30, and I've got some stuff going on today, so we're going to go ahead and let this one go. Before we go ahead and call it an episode, we'll go ahead and let the panel give us their final plugs. I'm hoping, guys, real quick, to get the video out this weekend or this week for the Iver Johnson 1911 that we're giving away on the channel. It is done in conjunction with SS Pawn, and I'll talk about what the entry is going to require from you in order to be entered into the drawing. It's not a big deal. It's not a monetary cost to enter the drawing. I'll be posting the video for that later on this week, and I'll be dropping another video on Wednesday. So make sure that you guys are watching that. Pat, we're going to go ahead and let you close it out. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, just thanks for having me on. It's been a minute since I've been on your show, but yeah, good topic.
Cool. Right on, man. Appreciate it. All right, Squib, what about you?
Was actually shooting a coffee review before I jumped on and stepped away to shoot the ending of it during the show. So eventually I'll edit it and publish it. But otherwise, just having fun on my A channel and on my B channels. And I appreciate the invite every Saturday morning, even though I sure would like to sleep in. Last weekend was kind of nice.
Well, wouldn't we all? Oh, I know, right? Yeah. Well,
you're such a morning person, Travis. It's all the damn coffee.
Doesn't mean I'm not tired, but no,
you fake it. You fake it really well,
dude. If I go to bed at 10, I usually wake up at 4:30. So if anybody ever needs a wake up call, the offices of Travis P11 are always one to provide that for you. So
thanks.
Doesn't matter the time zone. We're there for you.
When you're here, you're asleep till like 6:37.
Yeah, but we're also up till like 2:00 in the morning. So
no, like midnight.
Oh, midnight. Yeah, if I can function on 5 or 6 hours of sleep. So, yep.
Like if this guy ever recommends an energy drink, you know it works.
Oh yeah. My energy drink choice is you go to Aldi and you go buy their, I think it's called Blue Thunder or Red Thunder. It's their generic version of Red Bull. Tastes exactly the same, and it's like 80 cents a can for like a 12-ounce can. So that's my go-to. I also like Kickstart. That's a pretty good one, the Mountain Dew one. So I've tried a lot of different energy drinks. In fact, I'm probably going to grab one when I head out today. So it's going to need a little more energy than what you guys see right now. So. All right, so Pat, thanks for joining us. Pat, we need to try to get together and do some shooting this summer, and I'll get a hold of you about that. Maybe we can get together in August or something, or maybe late July, and I'll bring a few pistols out and some rifles, and we can do some shooting. All right, and Squibload, anything you want to say before we go?
You already went to me.
Gotcha. All right, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else.
Anything else? No, not really. I was just kind of babbling. I just like jumping on the show every Saturday, even though it's early.
Well, yeah, just tie in your coffee drinking and coffee videos with joining us in the morning, and you can hammer your video out before noon, and you're all set to go. So,
well, I mean, you guys have heard me in the pre-chat. I'm all like this, and by the end of the show, I'm talking real fast.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I'm following up right behind you with the energy.
Hey, Squib, how about those cherries?
Yeah, actually, the coffee I did today is the Meyer Gold, the store brand Michigan Cherry coffee.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll be. You know what? I think I might do a store brand cherry Pop Tart versus Kellogg's Pop Tart cherry Pop Tart video.
Do Toastums, because Toastums were the original toaster pastry, and then Pop Tart jumped the gun and got the name Pop Tart before Toastum could do it. So Toastums are actually came out before Pop Tarts, believe it or not.
I'll look for it. Is
Toastums?
that
Toastem? You can get them at Walmart.
Wally World. All right.
Yeah, they're just there. They're like they are the original toaster pastry, believe it or not. They were out before Pop Tarts. So, yep. I'm responding back to a fellow Nebraskan over here. Let's see. Tony, why don't you go ahead and give us your final plug?
After they come out with toaster strudel, how in the world can anybody eat a friggin' Pop-Tart?
Dude, you just pull it out of the bag, shove it in your mouth and get back to work.
Toaster strudels are so good.
It lasts a long time. When they're on sale or when you buy them in bulk, they're really affordable. It's good prepper food. I take one to work. I don't always eat one every day, but I'm in a hurry at work. I don't have time to eat. I just, rip open the bag, eat it real quick, down a bottle of water, and I'm back working on the machines or robots or whatever.
Yep. Squib, you and I are so passionate about Pop-Tarts. We did these, was it the Zombie Apocalypse
Pop-Tarts challenge? Yeah.
Which
it's like trying to talk about, Pop-Tarts is prepper food. Because they last over a year.
Yes.
And do you eat them hot? Do you eat them cold? What
cherry,
flavor?
Brown sugar, chocolate fudge.
If you found an abandoned grocery store and you could only grab two kinds, what kind would you grab and why?
Why the hell did they still make blueberry? I don't know. Nobody buys that one.
What? I buy unfrosted blueberry in bulk.
I'm exactly the same one. That's
what Walmart needs to do. Walmart's got those shoebox size boxes of Pop-Tarts that you can buy. They need to make the Pop-Tart that size.
Yes.
I don't care that it doesn't go in the toaster. They need to make it like freaking like a sheet of 8.5 by 11 Pop-Tart. That's what I want.
Okay, so I typically shop at Myers and they don't sell the bigger boxes like they do at Walmart. So when I do go to Walmart, which is
the family obesity pack.
I buy the obesity pack at Walmart, and it lasts for a long time. But if they made a Pop-Tart the size of that box, it would be what Tony said. It would be a toaster strudel.
Oh, man, you could cut it like a pizza and just eat slices of it, I'm telling you, we are marketing geniuses. But what do we know, right?
Cut it into you eat it with a toaster strudel you eat with a fork, right?
No, the Pop-Tart, if you got an 8.5 by 11 Pop-Tart, you could cut it like a pizza, and you could just eat slices of it like a pizza.
Toaster strudels are actually about the same size as Pop-Tart.
Yes, they are.
Oh, I thought they were bigger.
No. They're thicker a little bit more. There's a little heft to them, but they're still, they're. You've never had a toaster strudel before?
No, I've never had a toaster strudel.
It's like a crusty, flaky crust that has a filling in it. It could be like a cream cheese or a fruit, and then you pour your frosting over the top of it. What I do is I take the frosting packet and I put it on top of the toaster while the toaster strudel is cooking, so the frosting gets warm, and then you just pour it all over the top. It's delicious. But yeah, they also made. I don't know if they make them anymore, but they used to make them with like sausage, egg, and cheese in them and stuff too. They were funky, man. I don't know if they make what's that?
Breakfast scramble, and yes, they still do make them.
Oh, they do. Are they called breakfast scramblers now, or did they? They used to be under the toaster strudel brand, I thought, but
yeah, that's what it is. It's toaster strudel, but it's called the breakfast scramble.
There you go. You can put sausage, egg, and cheese in anything, and it's going to be delicious, man. I mean, I'm telling you.
Exactly.
God, now I'm hungry. Let's see. Where are we at? Single shot.
Hey,
give us
your. Wait a minute.
Oh, Tony's not ready yet. Sorry,
Tony.
Go ahead, Tony.
I didn't get to do my plug or nothing.
I haven't got to you yet. But go ahead, Tony. You do it anyway. You do you. Well, just add to it, Tony. Just add to it.
Early watch Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at somewhere around 9 we start. Monday should be really good.
It's gonna be. I mean, Yankee Marshall might even make a video on it. I think it's gonna be a topic that's gonna change. It will change lives. It'll affect everything from your house to what you. I mean, it's gonna be a life-changing topic. So
usually our shows are really good when I get pissed off, and I'm already pissed off over this deal. So
yeah, this one is absolutely. I mean, once the ATF gets involved in this one, and they have to add a letter, the S in front of the ATF, it's gonna just totally change America as we know it. So, yep, I'm telling you. I'm gonna hold a Tim Pool, see if he'll do a 40-minute episode on it. So Tony, anything else you want to say before you go? So obviously, early watch, it's not a kid show. Okay, it's not something you should play at work unless you work in the kind of environment where F-bombs are acceptable. And if that's the case, play it, enjoy it, relish in it.
Yeah, it's not for the easily offended, because that's our freaking goal in life, is to offend people.
But what's great about you guys is you do treat your guests with respect. The comments that come in, you don't sit there, you try to explain your side. If somebody disagrees with you on something, you guys are very civil about it, which I appreciate. You know, you do have some really great arguments, and you know, that's why I like the show.
I really try to be civil to everybody except Jimmy.
You guys are like yin and yang. You balance each other out really, really well. So, yep. You're the 22, and he's the 454 Kasul of the hosts. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome, but I actually have 22s, and he does too. He just won't admit it.
He won't admit it? Yep, that's right. That's right. All right, so Single Shot, give us your closing remarks before we go ahead and go.
All righty. Well, I haven't done much on the channel, but I am posting a few travel along with me type videos. I posted a few of those, so I'm trying to keep the channel active. I've got another couple of videos that I want to try to incorporate into the channel, but I got to try to figure out how to do it. But we're just rolling along here in Washington State.
Yeah.
Right now I'm headed towards the truck stop. I got to get this thing on a set of scales to make sure it's legal. But I've got a lot of hill climbing, a lot of work on the transmission here today. It's going to be a long day. I've got 11 hours left on my 70, and I'm going to have to shut down for 34 and take a reset. Get back over there in the East Coast there sometime towards the end of next week. The end of next week, this coming week. So with that, everybody take care. God bless. America moves by truck. We'll be talking with you.
Absolutely, man. Tony, there's a question out there. New York Outcast says, what is the channel? What channel is the Early Watch on? I thought they stopped or moved to Discord. It's just called The Early Watch, isn't it?
No,
I was trying to find it in my...
called Early Watch.
Early Watch. Yeah, so if you just type in Early Watch, I'll try to find the URL real quick here, and I'll post it in the comments for you guys.
That's here on YouTube, Tony?
There it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and post the link for you guys real quick here before we go. I'll go to the main channel, and you guys can subscribe if you want to. Again, it's what reeled me into Firearms Podcast. So here's the Early Watch link. I want you guys to go subscribe. Again, it's not for kids. My disclaimer is it's not for children. So there you go.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm surprising that you say that about the show, because the early ones kind of sucked.
No, it just gave me something to listen to, something to think about. It kind of changed my mind on things a lot. It's
The early shows were longer format, and they were every day, and they filled in at a time where we really didn't have a daytime show. I think the banter back and forth is as much educational as it is entertaining, even though sometimes I really disagree with you guys, and sometimes and it's kind of like he said, she said. Like one time, Tony will say something, right, and I'll be like, yeah. And then Jimmy will say something, I'll be like, yeah. And then Tony will say something and be like, no. And
no, you're totally, dude, like, you guys are so wrong. Then I actually comment on the video and I get feedback from you guys and stuff. I'm like, how can you even, I'm like talking to you like I'm there, but I'm not there. It's like listening to news talk radio, Yeah.
And I don't know, subconsciously I want to take sides, because sometimes one of you is like, yeah, man. And then you say something absolutely and I'm like going, what happened to you?
So Monday's going to be interesting.
yeah. I'm kind of looking forward to this. Unfortunately, though, I don't always get to listen live. So on replay, you guys are just as good as live. So for those of us who have to work afternoon or evening shift, being able to go back and listen to these shows, especially a show like, because they do it on Discord, Early Watch isn't so much visual, even though sometimes they'll screen share. It's more, I can just listen, and my hands are free to fix a machine or do whatever I got to do. And you guys just help. Yeah,
that's what I did. Painted a house, and I listened to you guys for weeks.
Paint, push a broom, do whatever.
Drive to work.
Yeah. and you guys just get me through the traffic. You get me through the shift. You get all the shows. That's something I really appreciate. As somebody who jumps on the shows, I understand how much work it is. You know, Tony, you were talking about all the research you do, and I just shows like that. It is appreciated. If you don't hear back from too many people, you know, I just want you to know that. That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys and Daily Gun Show, those are the two podcasts that I'd love to listen to. So you guys and G-Webs, the Daily Gun Show.
Even though 22 long rifle is not the best cartridge.
No, it's halfway there though. 44 is the best.
He's got a point. I'm more of a 357 mag kind of guy, more of a 8/10 kind of guy, you know.
You see, every time he says 44, I'm on Tony's side, and then when he cuts it in half to 22, I'm on Jimmy's side.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go and get the final plugs out there. So joining us on the YouTube side, we got New York Outcast, Patriot in the Dark, Ozzy Orsborn, DJ Play Nice saying rock. Let's see, Southpaw RX is out there. Snake Doctor 78 in the house. Tommy Gunn watching today. M. Gabriel. Let's see here. Jamie Claps out there too. Pretty good crowd today. Squibload's over there and over here. I don't want to miss anybody, but Defense Dad's out there. He slept in today. So Defense Dad, we're going to have to make this one up next week. Sam of Anarchy 92's in the house. Mario Moza. Mario, we got to get you on the show, man. M. Gabriel, you guys, man, we got to send you some links. You guys should be on the show talking with us. AWAG 1000 in the house. Joining us earlier. LR Skinner watching today. Unknown User out there. Let's see. Evans Jock is out there. Said good morning. Good morning to you too. SS Pun. Net Flutter out there also. X Adam 1 with us. A lot of the usual suspects that we see every week. Razor JB's with us today too. Patriot in the Dark. William Trader. Future Facts Conclusion is out there. He says, hi, bro. Hello. Jason Stewart. Bwat 75. Scott 79. Night Shaft is out there also. Mike's out there. Crappy Patty says Hall 9? Hall 9? Not sure what he was saying there. So, but anyway, this has been episode number 195, where we talked about maintenance, care, and cleaning of your firearms, general wear and tear, all different sorts of classes and so on. If you want, feel free to chime in on this video in the comment section with what your preferred cleaner is when you clean your firearms. What do you like to use? It's kind of interesting to see what the viewers tend to use. But in the meantime, I want you guys to have fun. I want you to be safe. And as you know, we will talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye, Alicia.
Bye, Alicia.
Good day, everybody.
Oh, yeah.